The moment it happened, time seemed to snap in two. 1 second, the office buzzed with the low hum of printers and polite conversations, and the next, a sharp rip echoed through the glass-walled conference room. Maya felt it before she heard it, the sudden looseness at her side, the horrifying realization sinking into her stomach. Her skirt had torn during the most important presentation of her career, right in front of the executive team. Heat rushed to her face, her heart pounding so loudly she was sure everyone could hear it. For a split second, she wished the floor would open and swallow her whole. Maya had worked at Asteron Group for 3 years, slowly climbing from an overlooked assistant to a junior analyst trusted with real responsibility. This presentation mattered. It was her chance to prove she belonged in rooms like this, where polished suits and confident smiles ruled. She had rehearsed for weeks, sacrificed sleep, and ignored her own doubts. Now, one cruel accident threatened to erase all of that in a heartbeat. She froze, eyes darting to the faces around the table, bracing herself for laughter, judgment, or pity. The room fell silent. A few people looked away awkwardly, others stared at their notes as if suddenly fascinated by spreadsheets. Maya's hands trembled as she tried to cover the tear discreetly, her mind spiraling. She imagined the whispers that would follow, the way this moment might define her in a place where image mattered almost as much as performance. Her voice caught in her throat, and for a terrifying second, she couldn't speak at all. Then the door at the end of the room opened. Ethan Cross, the Millionaire CEO of Asteron Group, had entered quietly, unaware of the tension he was stepping into. He was known throughout the company, and the industry, as brilliant, demanding, and emotionally distant. People said he could spot a weakness in seconds and had no patience for excuses. Maya's chest tightened. If anyone could turn this disaster into the end of her career, it was him. Ethan took in the scene with a quick glance, the frozen presenter, the uncomfortable team, the unspoken embarrassment hanging in the air. He noticed the tear immediately, not with shock, but with something else, understanding. He paused, then did something no one expected. He calmly removed his tailored blazer, walked toward Maya, and draped it over her shoulders as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "Let's take a 5-minute break," he said evenly, his voice firm but gentle. "And when we come back, we'll continue. Maya, you were doing great." The spell broke. Chairs scraped back, people stood, murmurs replaced the silence. Maya blinked, stunned, clutching the blazer around her. Her eyes burned with unshed tears, not from humiliation now, but from relief. Ethan gave her a small nod, the kind that said more than words ever could, and stepped out with the others. In the quiet that followed, Maya leaned against the table, breathing deeply. She expected to feel foolish, small, exposed. Instead, she felt seen, respected. When the meeting resumed, she finished her presentation with a steadier voice, fueled by something new. The room listened, truly listened, and when she ended, there were thoughtful questions instead of polite applause. Later that afternoon, Maya was called to Ethan's office. Her nerves returned in full force as she rode the elevator up. She rehearsed apologies in her head, prepared herself for professional sympathy at best. Ethan's office was minimalist, all clean lines and city views, a space that reflected his reputation. He gestured for her to sit. "You handled yourself well today," he said, folding his hands. "Not just after the accident. Your analysis was sharp, honest." "Thank you," Maya replied softly. "And, thank you for earlier. You didn't have to do that." He looked out the window for a moment before answering. "When I was starting out," he said, "I once spilled coffee all over myself during a pitch to investors. I laughed it off on the outside. On the inside, I wanted to disappear. Someone showed me kindness that day. It changed how I saw leadership." Maya absorbed his words, surprised by the vulnerability beneath his controlled exterior. That day became a turning point. Ethan began mentoring her, challenging her thinking, encouraging her growth. Not because of the mishap, but because he had truly noticed her potential in that moment of crisis. Months passed, and Maya's confidence grew. She learned that strength wasn't about never stumbling, it was about how you rose, and who helped you rise, when you did. She watched Ethan too, noticing how he quietly supported others, how his leadership wasn't built on fear, but on respect. The company culture began to shift, slowly but surely, as kindness replaced intimidation and empathy became a quiet standard. On the anniversary of that presentation, Maya stood in the same conference room, now leading a team of her own. She caught her reflection in the glass, smiled, and remembered how close she had come to giving up that day. She also remembered the blazer on her shoulders, the steady voice that had cut through her panic. Life, she realized, doesn't test us when everything is perfect. It tests us in our most vulnerable moments. And sometimes, the most powerful reactions aren't loud or dramatic, they're compassionate, human, and unexpected. That single act of understanding had changed her path, reminding her that dignity can be protected, dreams can survive accidents, and true leadership is revealed not in moments of control, but in moments of grace.